And this is what the budget table would look like. It is broken out by task, as you can see. So you put in your task title and then the amount of the grant that we've given you allocated per each task, where how much other funding is coming in, and then also the total budget. So we want this budget to be very simple or simple enough, right, for our contracts and invoices team to look at, okay, you're billing for task 1 project management on your RFD. Let's look over at your work program, task 1 project management. Here's the money, here's the amount for the task, which is 15,000, for example, and then reference it back to your RFD and how much you're billing for that period. And you can include indirect costs, which we will talk a little about later on, fiscal sponsorship fee if that's applicable, and etc. Okay, so this is direct costs. Direct costs are related basically to any cost that is needed to incur for the completion of your project. So you can include like travel costs. Note that we do receive like really strict accounting standards of an audit. So it's the grantee's responsibility to use like generally accepted accounting principles to kind of keep track of all your direct costs and indirect costs as well. Okay, so direct costs. These are some examples of direct costs. So you can include labor. In the RFD, you want to include like the title of the staff that's to be paid, any project related supplies. If necessary, if you do need to travel for your project in order to meet with communities and you need transportation or lodging or necessary food expenditures, we can pay for that. Depending on what kind of transportation you're using. So if you're driving your own vehicle, we can reimburse by the mileage. If you rent a car, we'll need the rental receipt. And then for lodging, just keep in mind for food and lodging, it's going to be at the state rate. So whatever the state's current guidance is on reimbursement, that's the cap for a reimbursement. So it's like $7 for breakfast, lunch is the 13 or 11. It's really low. And 2023, I think 2023 for dinner. And then lodging is based on the county. So all of that information is going to be in the grantee guidance document. And then of course you can always ask your project manager. And then finally, if you're working with another organization, let's say you're not the main grantee receiving the money, but you're going to be using the money to implement. And if the organization that you're working with has a fiscal sponsorship fee, this is also part of the direct costs as well. Indirect costs. So indirect costs are non-project specific costs of doing business, basically, of running your organization. It's also known as overhead, and it can include things like rent, office expenses, telephone bills, general purpose equipment, such as like computers. You're allowed to bill up to 20% of your total grant amount for these purposes. Okay. And then for subcontractors, there's going to be a section in the work program where you'll list out your subcontractors. So some examples could be like the artists that you're working with, the historians, storytellers that are not on your payroll. So you are contracting out of your organization to collect stories. Another example could be like paying a sign fabrication company to create the signage, and an installation contractor. And what we'll want to see from the subcontractors section is if they have like a contact information, if they have a website, and then also a brief description of what they're going to be doing. So we kind of want to check that they do have the qualifications to do what you're going to subcontract them to do. And then your project manager will approve those. Okay,